War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. Always heavy on the sports here on these live streams on our podcast, anything we do. But if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. So thank you for joining us, whether you are watching this live or if you're watching on the replay. Hope you can stop in at any point and interact with us, talk with us, share with us what's on your mind and the whole Auburn family spectrum out there. Tonight is a open discussion live stream, as we've done so many times on Wednesday evenings of late. Anything is fair game to discuss. So if you want to talk about something in particular, obviously we probably want to try to keep it in the Auburn realm. But if you want to get out a little bit into the weeds and talk about other things, we can do that as well. This is just a time for us to come together for a little while and and talk to each other about what's going on. Some people in the chat are already making me laugh. It's good stuff right there. But anyway, so as you're coming in, a couple of things I want to remind you of. This is a live stream, so it's predicated upon you all interacting and sharing comments and questions and stuff like that as you come in. If you enjoy this type of content, please do make sure you smash the like button. I do not have the cue card available to you, but if you want to help support what we're doing here and live streams like this, make them more and more possible, you can do that by going into the links in the description and checking out some of the ways you can support us, whether that be through the Booster Club, which is pinned at the top of the chat window here, and many other things as well. So those are some ways that you can help support what we're doing here. So on this live stream, you know, I've been doing these in a certain way where I have an option for people to call in if they'd like to and talk to me. So I'm going to try that again tonight. We'll wait for a little bit as people start gathering and assembling in here to see if we want to start utilizing that or not. But if you would like to, you can obviously let me know. And that way I'll at least know to look for you when we start opening up the chat line here. Neil White's already here. Good to see you, Neil. He says, War Dustbuster, what a crazy week with gas shortages. First of all, I'm laughing at both those things. The War Dustbuster goes back to 2-3 live streams ago where we had a guy inadvertently come in here, and it's now the running gag of the Wednesday night live streams, which is, I actually kind of love that now that that's become a thing. So thank you for reminding that of us, Neil. Yeah, how's everybody's gas shortages out there? It's a little bit crazy, isn't it? I got wind of it probably today's Wednesday. Wow, Kyle. Monday morning, and then Monday evening went and just filled up my car because I was like, hey, man, I need to go and do all this, be ready for the week anyway. So filled it up. There wasn't any problems, but just past my local gas station, not even 2 minutes from me, completely bagged up, nothing there. But it sounds like the pipeline or whatever was hacked and tampered with or whatever is back online. So hopefully that's going to be not an issue anymore. But let me know how y'all's gas is doing there. Is anybody else? Because in fact, I talked to my brothers who are coming into town this weekend. Well, to near town because we're going to a wedding. They have no concept of what's going on because they're not bothered with all this stuff here. Let's see. Biggs Imp H. Sorry, don't know how to say that one. Everyone was talking about Bo Nix's improvement from 8A game. Maybe I watched the wrong game. My brother said the same thing. Still saw the same to me. Glad to finally catch you live. Yeah, glad you're finally here. Appreciate it. I know sometimes it's difficult because we're not on like a set schedule. This is kind of why we tried to do these live streams on Wednesday night on a somewhat more regular basis so that people can be potentially at least know when to anticipate us. Obviously, with the news cycle being a little bit slow, I've done a few less live streams, but I'm trying to at least get on a somewhat consistent, night that you all will be able to find us here. Also, a little bit of news. If you enjoyed having Clint Richardson on, he will more than likely, don't want to always commit him fully to something, but he'll likely be back with me next weekend or next Wednesday. So you should show up for that. But in terms of the Bo Nix talking point, I don't really, if you were going into 8A expecting to be wowed by Bo Nix, I don't think you were going to be satisfied. If you were looking for reasons to be upset, I think you could probably find them, but there was no reason to be disappointed with him either. It's 8A. I mean, really, this is just to get out there, see the boys again, let them play in a little bit of live action. So I honestly didn't really chalk any improvement or less improvement. I just kind of chalked up to it's a spring game. And I'm not trying to sit here and dismiss and say that, these things aren't important, but I don't read too much into them. My wife and I filled up Monday right before the panic. We're good for 2 weeks, vehicles with good gas mileage. So we have good gas mileage too. Problem is that we were supposed to go out of town this weekend and go to a wedding, and we're still planning on doing that. Problem is we probably have to fill up at the bare minimum, like a quarter of the way back from where we're going. So that could be a problem. But yeah, glad y'all are doing okay. And we have to drive into work every day through rush hour Atlanta. So that's a bit of a problem too, in terms of eating the gas up. Just an excuse for raising prices anyway. It's the government. They're going to get us regardless, crooks. Might be a bit of a drastic statement, but I tend to agree with that. Ronald Reagan said it best. The most dangerous words that you never hear: "I'm the government and I'm here to help." There are a lot of fine people that work in the government and government and the services of that nature, that are good people. But by and large, yes, it is a messed up thing. But that's what happens when you're governed by the people. You're governed by people. Let's see. What do you think about Tony Fair coming in the portal from UAB? First of all, first gut reaction, it's a fairly good pick. If you follow us on social media, I posted that, and that was probably my one lame duck joke of the year. In terms of just the initial reaction that his name is close to Fairley, his defensive tackle is a big guy like Nick Fairley, those connections. Obviously very much needed with the departures that we've had at defensive line. You're going to need to shore that up. It's potentially going to be Achilles' heel now for Auburn, and I'm glad that they've found somewhere. And most of you that have been here on these live streams know I'm not a big fan of heavily going to the transfer portal or transfer situation, because I don't think it sets up for a very good thing going forward. But sometimes it is a necessity. So I'm happy to have Tony Fair. Tony Lamar, I think, is what he goes by on Facebook or something like that. Yes, he will be a good nose tackle. Now, remember, we're moving to a 3-4 base defense where we're going to have, obviously, a need for a much bigger nose tackle, and he definitely fits the bill there. Nice to keep it in state, too, since he's from UAB. We can poach the Alabama lower schools every once in a while. Casey, what's going on? Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you from Birmingham, Alabama. Casey has taken the initiative, but if you all can post where you're watching from, that's always a good way to kind of help know where people are calling in from. All right, so here's what I'm going to do as you guys keep the questions and comments coming. Keep smashing that like button to let people know we're live. I'm going to go ahead and post it one time. And again, when I post this, you don't have to use it. It's up to you. Pretty easy to do, honestly. I mean, I think most people have utilized this system, know how easy it is to call into this thing. But please behave and be nice. There is the link if you would like to call in. What will happen if you do, it'll put you in a green room. I'll be able to see who you are. And I think you can actually keep the camera off if you want to and just do audio. But please do keep it, nice and family friendly if you decide to call in today. Let's see. Fair could be a starter. Kyle, need to go to the portal because we need wide receivers. No, I don't think we need wide receivers. I think we have plenty of wide receivers. It's just all young. Now, if we wanted to go get one solid wide receiver, and a lot of people got real excited about Justin Ross this week. That Justin Ross thing, a lot of y'all took that bait. Not y'all, I don't say that accusatorily. A lot of people took the Justin Ross bait. And if you're not someone that's, kind of going the route that I go on this, you got a big disappointment. I mean, you saw every media podcast pushing that out there. And I'm just like, we're not getting involved in that because it's just a rumor. And sure enough, there was nothing to it. Now, a lot of times where there's smoke, there's fire. Maybe Justin was kind of looking and maybe someone knew that. And maybe then that kind of snowballed out of that and people started making up things. But yeah, you never know sometimes. I didn't buy the Justin Ross thing whatsoever. He's not leaving Clemson. And if he did, he'd go somewhere where something comparable to Clemson, at least currently as a program. What do you do if the Dustbuster guy called in? I think honestly, most of you all understand that this is a live show. Sometimes things happen. If you were here that night with Clint, you understand how things just happen. Sometimes you just kind of roll with the punches and you just cut them out. Please, if you're that guy, don't do that. Rodney, good to see you, man. Calling in from Bruton, Alabama. I don't know if I've said this before, Rodney, but I need to connect you with Michael Floyd if you don't know him. He's from Bruton, and he is Mr. Bruton, as he likes to call himself. At least I forget, T.R. Miller. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's the high school down there that he graduated from. And he's making a little bit of a name for himself at Auburn now. He's a pretty awesome dude. He was featured on Auburn Roots just recently, or in the nearest future, closest future, whatever you want to call it, the distant past, not too distant past. I think it was episode 22 or something like that he was featured on, if you want to check out his Auburn story. Rodney is friends with Michael Floyd. He's a good dude, isn't he? Love that guy. Very positive guy. A lot of players say they don't transfer, then they do transfer. I didn't really believe he would leave Clemson, but it would have been awesome to have him. Of course, so when I say I don't put much stock in these, doesn't mean I don't want it to happen. Of course, would be ecstatic if that were going to happen. But the likelihood of that happening was not going to be very high. And I've said this a lot. I think this is kind of what you're saying here, Casey. A lot of these players, they really want to ruffle people's feathers. They want to kind of see reactions on social media. They really just kind of playing that game just to see what kind of reaction they get. And sometimes they float things out there just to see what would happen. You'd be surprised how often that happens. Why do we have the number 2 schedule in the country? Do we ever get a break? I mean, would you ever want a break, though? I mean, we always know that if we make it, we earned it. Alabama can't say that. I mean, now, granted, last year's a little bit of an exception. I mean, they were the first one to play an all SEC schedule and sweep the championship, sweep the playoffs, so credit goes to them. But, I would much rather us play the best and beat the best. Does it mean that we sometimes get in situations that are a little bit above water for us? Yes, but I would much rather do what we do every single year. But yes, I get the frustration that number 2 schedule in the country, and it depends on who you talk to as well, because the SEC West. And Kevlar's got a great point. The longer we're in the SEC West, the tougher it's always going to be. Like it just is. It just is the way it is. If he did transfer, I believe Auburn would have been the favorite because he played at Central Phoenix High School that's close to Auburn. We need some experience at wide receiver. I honestly don't think so. A guy like Justin Ross doesn't leave Clemson for Auburn. And I say that, please hear me, with all the orange and blue wearing glasses person I can be, but I'm being realistic here. A player of his caliber doesn't leave for Auburn right now. You leave for Alabama right now, and that's just the truth of the matter, and it's okay to say that. So he would not have come to Auburn. I get that that was closer, but you go in his position to the place that can put you the fastest to where you want to go. And unfortunately, right now, that is Alabama. So I don't think that he would have come here. Tank can make the difference early for the Harsons. Yes, need easier schedule. SC Championship is Martin cannot play. SC Champion is. I'm having a hard time understanding that one, but Tank's going to make a big difference in the offense. I agree with you. I mean, you saw he made a difference last year in what could have been an even more mundane offense. But really, I'm tired. I'm not tired of saying it, but I know y'all are tired of hearing me say this, so I blew in the face. The offense begins and ends with the offensive line. It doesn't matter who the coach is. Coach Malzahn, Coach Harsin, Coach Joe Blow down the street. It is always offensive line. And no one's going to be successful unless we can get that fixed up. All you need is the SEC West schedule to qualify. Yes, pretty much. That's all you have to do is go and play everybody. And then I think, can we all just agree here? Anyone who competes in the SEC West should get an automatic qualifier to any playoff. Period. Done. Said. Over with. And if you can get a win in the SEC West. Now, of course, when you play, honestly, Arkansas shocked everybody last year, right? It really did. And a lot of people were expecting that. Let's see. Time for SEC East is soft. I wouldn't characterize them as soft, but softer than the SEC West. I would also say that most teams that match up with SEC East teams are still going to struggle a little bit. Auburn, and honestly, when I make the case for Auburn to be in the East, it goes beyond just of a reason because it'd be easier over there for us. But I think then it really balances the conference and makes this ultra competitive. Because if you really look at it right now, SEC West is obviously heavy. You got Alabama, LSU, Auburn, Texas A&M. You can throw them into the mix there. So really, you've got 4 teams that are always in contention for that side of the division. Then you've got 2 teams on the other side that are always in contention for the other side, Florida and Georgia. Every once in a while, one of the other teams will rise up, but not consistently. Yeah, I would put it on the level of a Texas A&M where you might be able to throw them in there, but Texas A&M is still more consistent. So if you move Auburn over, now you've got 3 solid power teams on each side of the conference that are going to be duking it out every single year. And you're going to tell me that's not going to be the best football? It is. It fixes a lot of recruiting, rivalry situations. It just makes sense. But Alabama doesn't want it because they don't want to give up their rivalry with Tennessee. All right, a lot of questions coming in. Before I get too far behind in chat here. Since the NFL schedules just came out, I missed that actually. ESPN should start giving game times in a couple of weeks. Hopefully the Auburn-Penn State game will be prime time. I think it will be. This is a matchup that doesn't happen hardly ever, and it's going to be obviously a spectacle in Happy Valley. And then Auburn, the new Harsin, flair with that, it's going to be a primetime game. If it's not, it's a huge misstep by whoever's running ESPN right now. We don't need him out. Alabama has enough. Alabama probably never thinks they have enough, to be honest with you. Whose schedule is harder, Alabama or Auburn? Auburn. It always is. Don't know if you saw the Saban comments about the transfer portal about once big-time players start choosing Alabama and he has room for them that they will look at changing the rules then. Thoughts? Not really understanding the statement, and I haven't seen it yet, to be honest. Don't know if you saw Saban's comments about the transfer portal about once big-time players start choosing Alabama, he has room for them that they will look at changing the rules then. I'd have to go back and look at that. By the way, I'll go ahead and remind, since a lot of you are coming into the chat, putting the link in there. If you want to call in, you don't have to be live on the screen. You can keep your camera off, but feel free if you want to pop in and say hello. True GA Champions talking about Tank really making a difference for this team. It doesn't happen very often, but I think Tank can be that guy. I think Tank is that guy. Tank is already that guy last year. The team isn't competitive the way they were at times last year without a Tank Bigsby. And you could see the drop off after he got hurt, right? Put a lot of pressure on Bo, put a lot of pressure on that offensive line to produce for other running backs, and it just didn't happen. In the spring game, I thought the O-line blocked well when we ran the ball, but we got work to do protecting Knicks when we pass the ball. Absolutely. So, honestly, I would still focus more on the run blocking still and getting that solidified because, Tank is already going to get his yards, but if we can get him those few inches of room that he's going to need to build momentum and just bowl guys over, then they're going to really key off that. And that's going to naturally create a little bit more spacing for that offensive line when they are passing and more spacing for Bo Nix because they're respecting that. Do a lot of play action stuff. It's going to really create problems for opposing defenses that they're not going to just be able to launch their guys at our offensive line and make Bo Nix fall to the ground. But yeah. I don't like the Turds, by the way, but he needs no more good players at Alabama. Yeah, he's pretty well stocked up, isn't he? It's frustrating how much he's he's stocked up over there. All right, I know I'm way behind here in chat. I heard we're going after a QB in the portal to be number 2 with Davis being inexperienced and Lloyd not being good. I would say, well, anyway, obviously we can go to the portal for that. I think, we've kind of made our bed with that. If we do, we do, but I wouldn't foresee us going after a quarterback that's going to take Grant Lloyd's position at this point. I don't know about 4 from SEC West. Tim, Texas A&M is yet to win the West. Bama, LSU, AU, and yes. No, they've won the West before. They have won the West with Johnny Manziel. But I think, honestly, you can put Texas. They're rising, and I know it sucks to say that. I mean, because for some reason we all are really not liking Texas A&M. I'm in that camp too. But Texas A&M is rising a little bit, and I really do think if you pit Bama, Texas A&M, LSU against Auburn, Georgia, Florida every single year and across divisional stuff, it's just going to that's some good football right there. It needs to happen. It probably won't, though. Did you know that John Heisman coached Auburn in 1885? Then he went to Clemson, and that's how Clemson got their colors. I did know that. In fact, maybe next week, if you all are here, Clint can talk a little bit more about that. John Heisman, yes. I knew he coached at Auburn. That's why his statue's out in front of the stadium out there with the rest of the Heisman statues. A lot of history for Auburn. Clemson, they're just a bunch of copycats. Missouri, so that makes 4 in the East if Auburn moves to the East. Missouri, I wouldn't count yet. They're not consistent. Texas A&M is far more consistent as a team than a Missouri is, than a South Carolina is, than a Tennessee. Now, Tennessee's got the history, but Texas A&M has shown more consistency to be successful as an SEC team. So I wouldn't even I would throw South Carolina personally and Tennessee into the discussion before Missouri. Yeah, I just don't see them as legitimate yet. Sorry. Good point here, Neil. Clemson, as you put it with a P, is just Auburn with a lake. Here's the sad part about it, Neil. I have yet to visit Clemson, and it's literally like an hour and a half, 2 hours away from me. I need to go over there and see it, just because I need to see if the architecture is the same. Maybe I'll do that one day. I'll find an excuse if there's some type of event over there, like a Auburn match or game in one of the sports, and go see the campus and maybe make a vlog about it. That'd be a good idea. The only other game I see on the ABC primetime slot is the Clemson Georgia Tech game. And I honestly couldn't see that game getting that time just because of Clemson. Yes, so that's going to work out favorably. If that's the best game that you can come up with on that date, Auburn and Mitten State is the primetime. Here's the other thing as well. Keep in mind when these teams, these big-time matchups are scheduled, TV is in mind when they are talking about these and trying to schedule these things. So likely this deal was made, if not in the actual contract for it, but just set up in a way. It was set up on a date to likely be a primetime game. So all that being said, Auburn will likely come in undefeated. I haven't looked at Penn State's schedule. I would assume they would be undefeated. And it's going to make a very, very interesting matchup for that. By the way, I'll keep going through questions and comments here. But I do want to address that. Wow, lots coming in. Man, you guys are on fire tonight. If you haven't, please do smash that like button. Really would like to get above 900 subscribers sooner rather than later. We've been holding out here at like 860, 870. We're so close to 900. Help us get there if you can. Share us with a friend. I lost my train of thought on what I was, on what I was thinking about there. But anyway, let's see. I missed the Georgia Tech option. Yeah, it was kind of a novelty in college football. I do miss it as well. Oh no, Auburn baseball is down 5-0 against Sanford. Honestly, I'm not shocked, and I'm not saying that's not a shot at Auburn baseball. That is Sanford baseball is pretty good in terms of competitiveness. I'm not going to sit here and say they're one of the best programs out there, but they're pretty much year in and year out pretty competitive with big teams as well. So I wouldn't, if you're upset about Auburn being down in a midweek game against Sanford, it happens a lot. Auburn needs to split carries in the backfield, keep the running backs fresh. Yeah, it sounds good on paper, Imani, but when you've got a guy like Tank, oh boy, and you see the things that he can do and the difference he makes. Now, here's the difference is I really do believe that Sean Shivers is going to turn the corner this year. And not that he hasn't already, because we've already seen what a bowling ball he is, but I just got this feeling that the dude saw what Tank did as a freshman and now has not because like he's got resentment for him, but has this chip on his shoulders. Like, I can't let this freshman outdo me. So you could have a very potent and powerful 2 running back tandem that's about to happen at Auburn. And it's going to be pretty nice. A little lightning and thunder type of situation, except they're both thunder. So thunder and thunder. Just in different formats of thunder. I remember what I was going to say, by the way. I know a lot of you, and I think I can already see the numbers dropping a little bit, are going over to War Report. That's fine. Obviously, I hope you guys enjoy over there. If you go over that way, just tell them hello and tell them that E2C Network sent you. But I know that they are on at 9 o'clock, and I didn't mean to start this late, but schedule starts. But since you're all here hanging out and having a good time, we're going to stay a little bit longer. Tam won the West. That would mean they would have been the SEC championship game. That has not happened. Am I wrong on that, Neil? I swear Johnny Manziel was in the championship game one time. I could be wrong on that. Thinking through this in my head. You're sure they weren't in the SEC championship game one time? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But I thought they were. Clemson fans are not cats, but Clemson colors are puke purple and orange, not navy blue and orange. Yeah, so the story behind that is John Heisman, obviously, when they went over, not just him, but there's a lot of connective tissue between Auburn and Clemson. When they were building this, they structured it around Auburn, the architecture, the way the classes were, the type of classes that were there, the mascot, the colors. So they did not want it to be a carbon copy of Auburn. So they changed from navy blue to purple and burnt orange to whatever color orange that is that they have these days. But yeah, so there's a lot of, just like I called it, connective tissue there, but there's some stark differences like that. And thankfully we are not purple and orange. If you think about it, it's always interesting to look at the different color variations on Tiger mascots in college football. You got purple and gold, LSU, navy and orange from Auburn, purple and orange from Clemson. You've got black and gold, I guess, or black and yellow from Missouri. And then I think there's a orange and black out there, and I think that's like Pacific, maybe. But you'll have to look up the rest of those are the major Tigers that I can remember. Oh, wait. And then Tuskegee, I forget what color Tuskegee is. They're not obviously a major college football team, but they're still a college football team. I'm trying to remember what colors theirs was. Somebody who's got familiarity with Tuskegee, fill me in on that. Wow, lots and lots of people here. Guys, y'all are showing out tonight in terms of the response. I'm trying to keep up with all the stuff. Neil says, I've been to Clemson many times. It's literally Auburn with a lake. I got to go see it for myself, man. I need to see it to believe it. But from what I've heard, it really is. Dusty's in the house. Coming in late, apartment above me, water's leaking into mine, madhouse. Have we talked about the transfer from UAB yet? Yes. Anybody getting Nick Fairley vibes? We have talked about it. I guess we can touch on it again since a lot of people are here. Everybody excited about that transfer? I am. I am in terms of it fills depth needs that are definitely there from some transfer outs that we had. And it's nice to see a big body like that coming in to fill what's going to be a new defense for Auburn. So I won't step out and say that he's going to be a starter just yet, but I will say that we'll see him a lot. A lot. Good question, Casey. Does Miami or North Carolina have a chance of beating Clemson this year with them losing Etienne and Trevor? So we saw the new quarterback for Clemson when Trevor was out with COVID. And if I remember correctly, he did fairly well. And he's I would assume he's still back. That means that they're still going to have their weapon in Justin Ross, and they have many other weapons as well. I'd like to think that Clemson won't take a major step back, but they'll definitely take a little bit of step back. North Carolina has been on the rise, and they've got their quarterback still, I believe. Miami is definitely on the rise. So, this could be one of the years finally the ACC is a little bit more competitive, but I just don't suspect Clemson to fall off that much. I could be wrong, but I wouldn't see that. Getting you fired up tonight, ready to practice football. Well, we've got what? I can't even remember now at this point. It's mid-May, so you've got about 3 months till things really start gearing up. So settle down now. Settle down. Well, Neil, you have settled it, and I know that was a question I asked earlier. Texas A&M has won the SEC West. I thought for sure I'm going to have to fire my writers over here that don't exist for making me believe that. 117 days left. Trevorris, man, what's going on? He's got it on the countdown already. 117 days. I need to start doing a tracker. I know a lot of people do that. I would like to do it a different way on social media that's a little bit more creative than just 100 and putting a player's number or something like that on there. And that's cool. I just don't want to be a copycat. Let's see here. I work with a ton of Miami fans. I know more about them than I should, and no, they are not beating Clemson 2 week up front on both sides of the line. I got that impression from last year as well, which is why I say it could be competitive, but the implication is just because Clemson is losing Trevor Lawrence, Etienne, and obviously some other players as well, as most teams do every year, that somehow that's going to level the playing field back down to their level. It might a little bit. I don't see that happening with Miami. North Carolina, maybe. ACC is just weak. I'm sorry. It is. It really is. It's an SEC, Big Ten, and sometimes Big 12 show. And when I say Big 12 show, it's mainly, Oklahoma State, Texas, kind of, and then every once in a while we'll throw a Pac-10 team in there just to spice things up a little bit. Does Boston College have a chance? I wouldn't think so. I don't know a lot about Boston College, but I don't foresee that happening. Boston College hasn't been a legitimate threat to anybody in like 2 decades, but I remember when they were. Auburn's going to win the national championship and Miami beats the so-called juggernaut Alabama. I would love it. Just don't see that happening, Monty. I just don't see that happening. All right, here's what we're going to do. Rapid fire comments, questions here at the end. Keep them coming. I know a lot of you want to switch over to another stream, so I'm going to let y'all do that in just a second. But go ahead and get those rapid fire comments and questions in here. A couple things I want to remind you of. If you haven't, please do consider doing one of the things listed in the description. There's a bunch of links in there, ways you can help support our network. One of those is pinned at the top of the chat here, which is the E2C Network Booster Club. For as little as $1 a month, you can sign up and help support what we do here and get yourself some perks, really nice perks, actually, I think personally, and some other people do as well. Thank you to a lot of our people. I think I've seen some of you all tonight. If I didn't give you a shout out, my apologies. I will make sure next time that happens. But thank you all that do support us through the Booster Club. That really is a humongous help. There's also PayPal, our TeePublic store. The easiest and the free way to do it is just support the podcast by listening to them, subscribing. Those are the easiest thing. Auburn Roots, you don't want to miss that. We just interviewed the cheerleader coach, Letitia Duro, and You want to don't miss that. And there's a cool guest for episode 30 coming up pretty soon. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you do that. All right. I know some fans are tired of hearing about him, but how do you think Gus Malzahn will do in his first year at UCF? The whole Gus Malzahn situation there, it literally feels like a cauldron that's boiling and really just going to explode one day. Because what's going to happen if Gus Malzahn fails at UCF? There's going to be this glorious outbursting on social media of "I told you so." And then on the other side, there's been a festering boil, to use gross imagery, of people who tend to lean kind of like me, who are big fans of Coach Malzahn and didn't want to see him go, that are going to be a little bit and quietly, but some not so quietly, interested in what happens over there. Obviously, I'm an Auburn fan, always, primarily, and in the scenario where Coach Malzahn and his UCF Knights come to play Auburn, I will hope that we will throttle the heck out of them, and I believe we would. But to answer your question, I wouldn't put much stock in the first year. Year 2 is where I'd really like to see him show that he can translate what he does over to that league, and I think he will. They're the big name. They're going to draw name into that or names over to that conference naturally because of how good they've been of recent times. It could really go either way. I honestly don't know, but it would surprise me if Coach Malzahn, with his track record, has success early. Oklahoma's a joke. Hope we get that rematch one day. Well, they weren't a joke in 2017. They put it to us. Unfortunately, we had our chance and it didn't go well. I was there for that. That was not a fun game in any stretch of the imagination. They have an annoying band and annoying cheers too. Saw an article where they're to full capacity at the games this fall. Well, AD Allen Green actually was asked that question. He said the plan was to do that, but obviously they're still waiting for an official word to do that. I would say the way things are trending, it's going to be full capacity, barring stuff, is the way I will probably choose to say it to be nice. UCF 0-12. Dusty, I think you're being having just a little bit of fun there. There's no way they go 0-12, but yeah, I don't think I will not be banning Gus questions here. He is part of our history, and we should be very thankful for that. How is UCF out recruiting Auburn at the 5 stars? Have you seen the location that they have? Let's remove Gus before people get all fired up about that from the situation. Let's just talk about UCF in general. I've actually been to the campus because I went to the Auburn UCF baseball series 3 years ago. Beautiful campus. It's like in the perfect spot in Orlando because it's away from all the chaos. It's not even really Orlando. It takes you about 30 minutes and then add traffic time depending on that to get to Disney World, Universal, all that stuff. Literally, I saw their ad for coming to play football there, and one of their pitches is "Come where the stars go to vacation," and it's true. So why would a 5-star choose to go to Orlando over Auburn? You tell me. It's not a bad choice in terms of a lifestyle thing. Now, can they get you to the NFL? Can they give you a better chance at a national title? That remains to be seen. But I could certainly make a case to go to UCF. I can make a better case to go to Auburn, but yeah. You were there as well. I met the UVA. That was their joke, the UGA of the Big 12. I did get Georgia vibes from them. That's a good comparison, Dusty. That is a real good comparison. I had never thought of that. That would make Texas their Alabama. Who would be the Auburn? Oklahoma State. Like always there, messing things up for the perennial powers, but probably every once in a while kind of slides back down. Am I the only one who feels Harsin has been too quiet since he came to Auburn? No, I would much prefer him to have been this approach. Let me ask you this question. Was Coach Malzahn too loud for you, because people used to lament over the fact that he would just coach speak the entire time. But, you know, I don't think he's been quiet. I think he's done what's appropriate. I think he has chosen to realize I am coming into a culture that's much different than what I'm used to. I'm coming into SEC football, dang it. You know, I got to get used to that as well. Wait for Coach Harsin to get through this year, the first year after a pandemic. He sees kind of what he's got to work with, gets a full recruiting cycle in, and then let's see how quiet he is. I don't think he'll be that quiet. What's up, Vernon? Good to see you, man. I don't think we've seen you on a live stream in quite some time. Vernon's got a cool YouTube channel as well, so go check that out. I always love to give shout outs to cool other Auburn YouTubers out there. And we're not primarily a YouTube channel, but I do this for you guys because I like connecting with y'all. I think Auburn should build a Disney World and Universal. It would really help with recruiting. It would, obviously. Here, fun fact for everyone. Did you know that Disney World, what would have been Disney World, almost came to Alabama? Huntsville, Alabama. That is a true fact. Walt Disney was seriously considering Huntsville, Alabama for the site to build Walt Disney World. What if, huh? What if? Rise Life in the house. Rise Life, we are kind of on the tail end here of our chat, but glad that you're here. Let's see here. Is Nick Saban quiet? Harsin reminds me of him. There's been a lot of those comparisons, Rise Life. I don't really like them, but I understand the comparison. If I may, to use that comparison, he's Nick Saban who understands how to be not hip, but like with the generation or something like that, you know? Nick Saban just looks like the crusty old man that just, but Coach Harsin has that tendency about him, but he seems like he can get along with everybody and yuck it up and stuff like that for the most part. But those comparisons are going to happen a lot. Looking on here. I love everything Harsin has done at this point. Not concerned about if he's quiet or not. We got the facility, recruits coming back to our beautiful campus. We're headed up. Absolutely, yeah. So I would say, and not to dismiss the question or the comment about that, but it's just, I guess it's a different culture. It's a different way of doing things under Coach Harsin. So things are going to feel different. They're going to seem unique, right? So it's just going to take some getting used to. But I do think that the foundation is very nicely laid for Coach Harsin. And if he can't succeed, that's that, he's got everything he needs. What if we build a beach in Auburn? First of all, how do you build a beach? I don't know that you can really build one. Here, related to that, did you all know that Auburn used to have a water park? Yes, Auburn used to have a water park. It's called Surfside Water Park. When you go to the main exit, I think it's 52. The main exit coming into Auburn, right there on College Street. If you were going northbound, instead of getting off the interstate and going to the left and going towards Auburn, to the right, and you actually could see a lot of the water park from the interstate. It had a lazy river, a wave pool, a kiddie play area, and then it had these set of 6 slides. 2 were kind of free falls, and the other were like swirly slides going down. It was a fun little water park. I spent a lot of afternoons out there at many points in my life, and I'm sad that it's gone. And if I could, I love water parks, so I would buy it and retheme it to Auburn. And the first thing I would do is invest in there's these wave simulator things. The college students would flock to that thing. I love the wave simulator thing. And I know it would cost a bundle, but I'm sure you would make your money back. Put some concerts in there. Sorry, I know this is random stuff, but that's what you get here on this channel. Anything and everything Auburn. Not a beach, but we need that water park back. That can be a recruiting tool. If I had the money, I would buy it and I would build it. Saban does need to retire, but I said Saban was going to retire 5 years ago, and he still hasn't done it. So I'm just dealing with it at this point. Kerryon Johnson going to the Eagles. I was not anticipating Eagles for some reason. It kind of took me off by a little bit of a surprise, but unfortunately, his story is kind of building the way a lot of running backs will, where they get an injury and they just kind of can't get the swing of things back, whether that's because of them or just the team doesn't want to take a chance on them. But hopefully he's going to I think I talked with someone about this and said he could potentially have a Adrian Peterson type of story where Phenom got injured, but then kind of found a new home and like reestablished himself at least for a little bit. So maybe that'll be his story. And now we're just going to start throwing everything in. Auburn needs a space in Rocket Center. The way Auburn is booming right now, if you have not been to Auburn recently, literally, you can come back within not even 24 hours, 12 hours, and it's changed. It is booming over there. It's one of the reasons I want to move back, and my wife does to some degree, but not as much as I do. So that's hopefully what we'll do one day, but do it while it's hot, while it's growing. What happened? Why are we getting rid of everything? Listen to that part. Let's see. Burn it down. Let's see. Oh, did Alabama fan burn it down? No, I don't know how we would really burn down that. Auburn needs another national championship tribute. That would really make the town pop. Or a Whataburger. Well, they've got a Whataburger now, I believe. Right? I think they do. Out in Tiger Town, if you count that. But yes, national championships will make it pop. Water parks will too. Yes, Gulf Shores Waterville has that's the one I actually have been on a lot, and I have busted it several times on that. Oh, Demarius. Okay, all right. Look, I'm gonna go ahead and admit something to you all. Don't tell my wife, and she probably is going to hear this and use this against me. She's a Buc-ee's fanatic, and I really used to not like it, but I'm kind of starting to get in the bandwagon now, especially if I can use it as a selling tool to get her to move to Auburn. She is literally, we were in Texas in January for a wedding, and they're all over Texas. There was one 45 minutes, no, 30, we'll just say 30 minutes from where we were. We made 3 trips in 24 hours to it. I'm not kidding. 3 trips in 24 hours. It's good. It's good. The food's good. It's a gas station. It's something to behold. If the Auburn City Council does not approve that, they are idiots. Idiots. And I would say that to their face, because I never say anything I wouldn't say to their face. It is a sure thing for the community if they can get that approved. Cam Newton will probably have something named after him at some point, but not maybe not for a little while. After Harsin beats Alabama 3 to 4 times, Saban will retire. Well, I think if any coach beats Alabama or Saban, 3 or 4 times, whoever coaches there will probably retire. Don't want Saban to retire. I want to beat him into retirement like we did Bear Bryant. It would probably likely happen. Joe, what's going on? By the way, Joe is a member of the Booster Club. Shout out to you, my friend. Thanks for being part of that and helping support us. Yes, you do have one in Baldwin County. I frequent that one a lot. They're popping up all over the place. Auburn's got a lot of good things going for it now. If you're a fan of the town and stuff like that, you're going to really like the way things are trending there. All right. We have been all over the place, and I've seen a lot of new faces. If you haven't, please subscribe, hit that notification bell, like this video on the way out if you really enjoyed this content. And I hope to see you guys here again very soon. Again, the plan is to be back again next Wednesday. Clint's planning on being here. Last time I talked to him, the uniform guy, be talking with me and stuff like that. We'll be taking questions and stuff like that, and he'll probably do show and tell. So you definitely want to be here if you can't be. But stay tuned. Probably have some more videos throughout the week. Podcasts will be posted here, and a lot of cool stuff coming your way. Just because it's summer, just because sports are getting done, doesn't mean we're done. And that's why our network is more unique than any other one out there, because we can talk about anything and everything Auburn. Until we talk to you guys again, though, War Eagle.